This is a picture of my best friend Lindsay. Here we are at our annual trip to the mountains. Lindsay and I have been friends for 15 years. This one's from my wedding, where Lindsay was my maid of honor. And this last is a picture of Lindsay's family. Lindsay and I have been best friends since December 31st, 1995. Yes, I remember the date. She was grounded and I wasn't allowed to attend a New Year's Eve party. So instead, while all the other people we hung out were together, we talked on the phone. That was the night Lindsay became my best friend. Before that, Lindsay was just a girl in my 9th grade English class. Just a girl who was friendly and creative, but just the girl who sat next to me. I bet you have a story of how you met your best friend. Was it summer camp? Soccer team? Maybe the school bus? But I wonder, if you didn't go to camp that year, or you played on a different soccer team, or maybe just chose a different seat on the bus, would your best friend still be your best friend? Maybe, but for me, the phone call on that night I wasn't allowed to go to the party would have been my missed opportunity for my best friend. And for Martha, the main character of this book, her missed opportunity is what you find in Olive's Ocean. Olive's Ocean is a touching story of Martha, a 12-year-old girl who is about to visit her grandmother for her family's annual trip to the coast. However, this summer will be different from past visits. This summer, Martha will decide she wants to be a writer. She'll get her first kiss, and this summer, Martha's taking the memory of Olive to the beach with her. Olive was a classmate who was recently killed in a car accident, and although the two girls were not friends, Olive's mother brings Martha a page from Olive's diary. The diary states that Olive wanted to be a writer, just like Martha. She wanted to visit the ocean, just like Martha. And more than anything else, Olive wanted to be friends with Martha. Martha struggles with this information while coming to terms with her first interaction with death. Martha heads to the coast where she begins to try and understand the uncertainty of life while dealing with boys, her parents, and her aging grandmother. These changes are what Martha is struggling with are best articulated in Chapter 3, conveniently named Change. The book has very short chapters, so I'm able to read it all for you. An eerie feeling invaded Martha's body. She was holding a piece of paper that had come from the journal of someone her own age, someone now dead. But there was more. Martha would be leaving with her family the next morning to visit her grandmother at her grandmother's house at the Atlantic Ocean, Martha's favorite place in the world. Also, she had recently decided that she was going to be a writer. This was still such a private thought that she hadn't told her best friend, her brother, or even her parents. And that she wondered, what had she ever done to Olive that would compel her to write that Martha was the nicest person in her entire class? Most eerie, she'd never be able to ask her. Minutes earlier, she had been packing her bags for vacation, feeling completely happy, but now she felt different, altered. The longer Martha mulled over the coincidences, the more startling they became. This book is focused on Martha and its interactions with the other characters that makes this story really come to life. Let's look at Martha's older brother, Vince. Vince is exactly 1 year older than Martha. That's right, they share a birthday. And the relationship between Martha and Vince is an interesting one. For a brother and sister, they're really close. Even if that means Vince is stopping by Martha's room just to say he hates her, he always still just stops by before bed. The camaraderie that Martha has with Vince is something she loves, but as they're getting older, they seem to be spending less and less time together, which ultimately changes Martha's beach trip in more ways than she can imagine. So it's a good thing that Martha has her baby sister Lucy around. Lucy's just 2, and although she's unable to interact with Martha like the other characters in the story, it's Lucy that shows the reader Martha's compassion and maturity. It's Lucy who goes with Martha to see where Olive was killed, and it's Lucy that was present when Martha is faced with death in a very real way. Lucy provides in the story a light-hearted smile that is needed in the middle of some very complicated situations.
One of the most influential characters in the story is Martha's grandma, or Godby, as she is called.
In a time when Martha's life with sudden death is all she can think of, Godby is there to remind Martha of the joys of living and the difficulties of saying goodbye. Godby takes a special interest in Martha this summer by asking her to share one thing each day, something no one else knows about her, and in return, Godby will share her secret with her. The last character in the story is an interesting one because Martha never really interacts with her in real time.
Olive Barslow is dead when the story opens, but it is her continued presence that drives the narrative and Martha to its touching conclusion.
If you were confused when you saw that the author of this young adult book was Kevin Hikes, so was I.
Hikes is most famous for his picture books, many of which are featuring unforgettable mouse characters like Lily, You Know Her Purple Plastic Purse Tales, and Owen.
He's even the author of one of my favorite picture books, called Jessica, which also happens to center around the theme of friendship. Recently, Hikes started branching out and writing for a young adult audience.
Some other novels by Hikes for young adults are Bird Lake Moon and Words of Stone.
The books of Kevin Hikes have been consistently praised for the funny and, above all, realistic way they portray children and teens and the relationships they have with their parents and peers. This is exactly the type of writing that you'll find in Olive's Ocean. In the end, this novel is about a girl's summer adventure and her change from thinking about herself to the world around her. She's entering a new level of awareness and goes beyond selfishness and allows Martha to start thinking of others in a new light. She also now looks at everyday situations differently, making sure that she doesn't miss any possible life-changing opportunities. This is an engaging story about family, friends, first loves, and the uncertainty of death. Don't you miss out on this opportunity to read about Martha in Olive's Ocean.